who came up with the idea of flight, which was enormous at the Renaissance time because nobody could even imagine a human flying. So Leonardo da Vinci designed the idea of humans flying 300 years before the Wright brothers. So again, Leonardo da Vinci was far ahead of his time. One of the things that I've always thought was strange was how planes, which were made of metal and were so heavy, got off the ground or flew. Anything can fly though, if it's designed correctly and it has the right stuff. And now, group B. And group C. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, it may be hard to imagine that your body can keep this going in an orderly fashion. And that the teachers can keep this going in an orderly fashion. But that is how the orchestra may sound. And I think, like other biologists in this category, that is very interesting. So, thank you for paying attention and listening. So, what the Diet Coke and Mentos thing, if you haven't seen it before, there's this picture. When you put Mentos in a bottle of Coke, it produces a geyser that's CO2, which the Mento creates as it drops through the Coke. So the bigger the Coke, the farther the Mento would drop and produce more carbon dioxide bubbles, which pulls the Coke out too and has the geyser. So what we were thinking was if we put it on its side and attach it to a car, would it be possible to have the Mentos geyser squirt that way and have the Coke go this way? So what we eventually found out was that what we could do was have a PVC pipe that was taped to the bottle and had a 3/4 of an inch wooden dowel with Mentos on the bottom. And when you push the dowel down, the Mentos go in. So what we would do is tilt the car like this and put the dowel down to have, and then as it would go, have that happen.
Jesus, thou mustest go to stage left.
Have not you worries. You must always slow show kindness. Soon may be shown kindness also.
Einstein, waketh thou up, for God's sake, man. Sorry, Jesus. Wake up, stage right. You too, Newton.
What are you guys doing here? I mean, I know I got the math problems right, but still.
Oh, did you? How wonderful. You know, I thought of gravity, Maybe you could be like me someday. You seem to think logically.
Intelligence is all about words. With me being Shakespeare and all, naturally I represent linguistic intelligence.
I'm Newton, representing logical mathematical intelligence. That is all about math and symbols like maybe plus or minus signs. Logical and mathematical intelligence also involves logic and deducing.
I'm Einstein, here representing spatial intelligence, which is the intelligence about imagination, being able to mentally transform objects that you picture. In case you didn't catch that, what it means is that you can change what you see with your imagination.
I'm Michael Jordan, and I was a great basketball player before I turned to golf. But both of these involve bodily or kinesthetic intelligence, which is about the body. I'm very skilled with my body, so I represent that intelligence.
I am Beethoven, was a deaf but famous and worldwide known composer, and I made many world-class symphonies. Thus, I represent musical intelligence, the intelligence that is about to pitch and rhythm, as well as how sound works together.
I, my children, am Jesus. And as the Son of the Lord, I represent personal intelligences. This is the only category of intelligence that does include two different categories of intelligence. Interpersonal intelligence is the intelligence of self-awareness and self-guidance, or in other words, meditation. The interpersonal intelligence is about connection with other people, like your parents. I hereby designate this presentation finished. If you have any questions, ask Riley later. Jesus out.
Here, take a picture.
For this inquiry, I decided to build a Rube Goldberg machine, and I was going to do it on the various kinds of power. The first thing that happens is that this helicopter's blades, rotors generate wind energy and push it off the ground, and it's tied to a string which tugs the rail up, and that has a car on it. See that? So when it tugs this rail up, so the candle rolls down here, and since it's lit, will be in the real one, it burns through the string here, and it's tied to a balloon, and the balloon releases going upward. So this is this car, and I would put it on this rail, but it would not go down and knock all the dominoes over, and so I'm just going to pretend it's there. And so the balloon pushes the rail up, the car goes down, and knocks down the dominoes, and they go all the way around, knock over this plate, which falls over, and it's covered in foil, and turns on a light bulb. And that completes the circuit.
Yes.
The first thing I'm going to be telling you about is the first law of thermodynamics, which explains that energy can never be lost or created, only converted into different forms, transferred from object to object, and stored. So in the ballista there is a few main types of energy, which are work energy, kinetic energy, and potential energy. And there's one of the other very common kinds of energy is heat energy, which I'll be explaining later. So when you are just going to wind back the catapult, and while he's doing this, he's transferring energy from his own body into the catapult. And then the catapult is storing it inside these torsion springs, which are made by very tightly twisted pieces of rope that have poles stuck through them. And this means that the poles want to spring back that way, which sends the projectile flying. And now the torsion springs are storing the work energy that he transferred into the catapult as potential energy. And this energy it precedes kinetic energy, and is the kind of energy that the torsion springs later will use to send the projectile flying. And later he's going to wind it back again so that we can test fire it for you. Momentum is the force that sends objects forward. It's the barreling force of the object, the amount of impact that that object will hit its target with. So in the case of these catapults, the momentum will transfer into the projectile and send it flying so that when it hits its target, it does damage. Another force that I'll explain is gravity. And gravity is the force that brings objects down to Earth at almost 10 meters per second. So 9.8 meters per second, it brings objects down to Earth, which is extremely fast. That's almost 30 feet per second. Or at least in the case of these catapults, as soon as the projectile has had all the lift that the catapult will transfer to it, that is how much lift the catapult or the projectile will have at its maximum. It immediately starts to lose lift because of gravity, and this is why it has an arc, a trajectory that looks like an arc, because at the first half of the arc, the lift is defeating gravity, but eventually the lift will always be defeated by gravity as soon as the lift is smaller than the gravity, and that's why the object falls to Earth.